welcome to Own Your Health with me, Katie Brindle, and it's a great pleasure to be back today talking about one of my favourite health topics, which is sleep. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're watching this on other channels and platforms, please, if you know anyone who is struggling from sleep issues, let them know and let them know about today's episode because we're here to help. Now, 1 in 3 people in the UK suffer from poor sleep. And according to Chinese medicine, we see sleep as a disruption of emotional, energetic, and the physical state when they're becoming imbalanced. And it's really, really important to make sure that we are going to harmonise all those 3 systems. And because those systems are inherent in every single aspect of our lives, and our lives are so frenetic, it's not surprising that our sleep is so impacted and that 1 in 3 people are suffering. I actually think that number would be higher. I think that tends to be the kind of recorded levels of bad sleep, 1 in 3. But I think actually if you start talking to people, you will find everybody suffers from sleep issues of some shape or form at some point in their life. Now, why is it then that sleep becomes disrupted? So one of the most important things to understand is that we are overstimulated. And this is the thing that we need to kind of like get into our heads when we're talking about sleep. That in Chinese medicine, we have yin and yang. Everyone's heard of that. It's that icon of the black and the white circle, okay? And what happens is daytime energy, which is where we're busy, is yang in nature. It's active. And nighttime, which is the night energy, is yin, which is the rest phase, and that's the inactive. And it's not that one is better than the other. We need both, and they need to be balanced. And therein lies the problem, that our lives are imbalanced. We are not balanced in terms of the amount that we are having to do, and we don't have enough downtime in order to go through what I call the seasons of the day. Now, we have seasons of the year, which everyone's heard of, so spring, summer, autumn, winter, and you don't go from winter to summer. Right now, I'm delivering this podcast in early spring, and you will notice the seasons are flowing out of the winter into high spring. Okay, so suddenly the days are getting a little bit lighter, flowers are starting to appear, it's starting to warm up an insy-tinsy bit. You might be taking a winter layer off, you might be feeling like you want to wear a colour, and it's transitioning into full-on spring, which eventually transitions into full-on summer, and on we go. Well, your day is the same. When you wake up in the morning, it's springtime. When you get to the height of the day, it's summertime. When you get to the end of the day, it's autumn time, and nighttime is winter. Okay, now what happens is in our daily activities, we tend to take ourselves from the seasons of the day from winter to summer, and we tend to just forget all about the spring and the autumn because we simply don't have time to transition, whereby we're not transitioning and giving ourselves enough time to slowly come out of our hustle and bustle of the action of the yang day activity to transition ourselves into the deep rest of sleep. We tend to be overstimulated on our devices, rushing around. When we are finally, if we are relaxing in the evening, we tend to either be flicking through our social media for relaxation or watching something on Netflix, all of which is totally okay, but often what we watch on Netflix can often be disturbing. It can often be quite challenging. It can often be quite high resolution. So you could be, for example, deciding to be investing in, I don't know, Game of Thrones or Handmaid's Tale or something like that. And it's high-res images and it's often quite violent. So your body is responding to that because as far as your liver is concerned, which is a very dominant organ with the sleep process, the liver opens to your eyes. So what you're seeing, as far as your liver concerned, is what's going on. And virtual reality and the fact that we have such high-tech reality now, and it's so clear, and there's so much of it that we tend to start to feel that it becomes real in our world. And then your body is trying to process all of that whilst recovering from whatever you've done all day, whilst it's trying to go to sleep. So you can see that there's a whole load of issues going on with kind of timing and these seasons. Now, the other thing to be aware of, aside from that we're not giving ourselves enough time to go in and out of sleep, therefore compromising the quality of sleep, there are also in Chinese medicine the 5 key organs of the body, which have big responsibilities with all of the health of your body. And if you want to own your health, it's important to bear this in mind. So let's just talk about these organs of the body. So the first is the heart, which is the commander of the body. Now, we all know that the heart is responsible for your circulation. One of its main actions is it's pumping blood around your body. Now, but the thing that we also have to understand is that blood in Chinese medicine mothers energy, okay? And the energy of the body is also under the command of the heart. And as far as we're concerned, the heart receives the command from the heavens, which is kind of your life's purpose and the meaning of it all, and then sends that command into the body. Now, in terms of your sleeping cycle, what's happening is that this blood, which it's primarily in command for, is kind of circulating at the exterior of the body in the daytime, and then in turn, the heart will command that blood to move to the interior of the body at night time when you're resting. So what then happens is that blood is moving from the outside to the inside during the sleep-wake pattern, or should I say the wake pattern of the outside to the sleep pattern of the inside. And your heart is responsible for all of that. Now then what happens is now the blood is being commanded to go inwards for sleep time. If the heart is over anxious, overstressed, overworked, if it's not been beating kind of profoundly and slowly, it's been kind of like all day long, which is kind of us just rushing, okay, then in turn what happens is that the circulation that the blood is responsible for is now quite full of quite a lot of kind of toxic narrative. I call it the negative narrative. It's all the stuff that's just been bombarding at us all day long. Marketing images, comparisons to other people, feeling bad about ourselves, feeling inferior about whatever it is, feeling that we're lacking in something, feeling that our lives, despite how fast we're going, are never quite fully on track. All of that sort of negativity going on. Now, all of that has a sort of toxic load that sort of loads up the blood flow, okay? And it's not perceptible, it's imperceptible because it's your feelings, and yet it's flowing because you're feeling them. Now, you have that, but you also have all the toxins and the pollutions of the general kind of mechanisms of the body, but you also have that everything that we're consuming during the course of the day in terms of the pollutions of the world around us, which is now more toxic than it ever was before. We are depleting trees and nature, and we're living and working in urban environments. So the heart is moving that circulation around. So once it's made the switch from it being from the exterior to the interior, it's then the quality of blood, which is then managed by the liver, because the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi and blood around the body. So as it's going into the interior of the body, the liver's now picking this up. And then what's happening is there's a sort of conversation going on between these organs where it's going in we come, in we come. So it's going into the organs for storage and for restoration and for regeneration, which is what's going on at night time. Okay, but the quality isn't very good. It's not good, healthy blood. It's not blood that's been out for a lovely long walk with the dog for 3 hours, followed by a lovely nutritious meal, followed by a lovely deep meditation. It's not like a spa break day. This is just everyday life. So the liver starts, okay, hang on a minute. This isn't the blood that I wanted. This isn't what I was asking for. No, 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 no. And it will put the brakes on. Now, what will then happen to your sleep is that you will find yourself restless. You will either find yourself unable to get to sleep, that's the heart bit, or you will find yourself unable to stay asleep. That's the liver bit, okay? Because that's the bit that's going on at the beginning of the nighttime when you're supposed to be going to sleep. So that's kind of immediately before we've gone anywhere else. Now, then what happens is the energy moves into another key organ of the body, which is the lungs. Now, the lungs kick off at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you find yourself between 3 and 5 o'clock, perhaps by this stage, the liver-heart narrative has settled down. So then those people who've got some kind of lung situation going on will find themselves waking up at some point between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, this could be many different things. Remember that the lungs are well, you may not remember this, so let me advise you. The lungs are the governor of the body. So whilst the heart is commanding and the liver is the general, the lungs are governing. And the lungs actually govern the heart, even though the heart commands. It's really interesting. Why? Because the diaphragm, which is the big muscle under your ribs, which is responsible for your breathing and for the depth of your breath, that diaphragm and the movement of the breath controls the beat of the heart. So if you want to slow the heart rate down, you want to slow down the breathing, because the lungs are governing the heart rate by virtue of you expanding and contracting that diaphragm, which you have the capacity to do. Do it with me now. Breathe in and out. There you go. There's your diaphragm. And that will in turn start slowing down the heart rate, and you're drawing in lovely, lovely, deep, profound levels of oxygen coming into the body. Now, the lungs are not just responsible for that, and their governing responsibility. They're also very much connected to letting go, and to letting go of things in our life, perhaps often that we don't necessarily feel capable of letting go of, because it doesn't help us. Okay, so what needs to happen is that if we're not letting go of things, and if we've got problems and worries and concerns and all sorts of things going on during the course of the day, that it's at that point at night between 3 and 5 o'clock that the lungs kick in, trying to let go, because the energy of the body is in that organ at that time. And if it's disturbed, it will wake you up. So it's really, really important to do some really simple techniques in order to help these organs to help the sleep process. Now, let's now think about what can we do about all of this. So what have we got going on here? You've got a balance of the seasons of the body: too much action, not enough rest, not enough time to transition out of the action and into the rest. Then you've got the key organs of the body, which are responsible for all aspects of health ownership, which is what this podcast is all about. Now, each one of those organs gets compromised in some shape or form by the busyness of our everyday lives. And as a result, because they all have a key part to play within the sleeping process, what happens in turn is that your sleep will easily get disrupted if one or more of those organs is in turn disrupted itself. So that's kind of where we are with the whole picture. So what are we going to do about this? We've got to do some simple things to help ourselves so that we can improve our sleep. And the good news is it's actually easier than you think. Hurrah! Right, so what can we do? Okay, number one, if you are new to this podcast, this is new news. If you are not new to this podcast, you're going to hear me say this umpteen times. I know what she's going to say. She's going to talk about deep conscious breathing. Now, I talk a lot about an app which I like called Mindfulness Bell, which I urge you to download because it's free. And you can set a gong to go on your phone to chime either every 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 or 60 minutes. Okay. And with that gong, you want to do this. You want to breathe in slowly. You want to linger at the top of the breath. You want to breathe out slowly, and you want to linger at the bottom of the breath. Okay, now you want to really do that 3 to 5 times. And when you hear the gong, do the breath, and that will do the trick. Now, if you don't want to have this gong app on your phone, and that's absolutely fine, then the other way that I suggest we do this, which might be new news to some of you because I don't talk about this all the time, and now I'm going to, every time you pick up your device, you have to attach this to something that you're already doing. And the good thing about breath is you already will be breathing. And the good thing about a phone device is that we're on them all the time. So all you have to do is right now make a commitment to yourself for the rest of today, okay, that you are going to do that slow breath every time you pick up your phone. And remember to do it all day. And perhaps put a post-it note on your bathroom mirror or on your phone case or something like that to say, don't forget to breathe. Phone equals breath. Okay, something simple like that to remind you, so that today you do it because you're listening to me right now, but maybe tomorrow, when good God forbid you're not listening to me and you're doing something else, you're going to in turn do it tomorrow and the next day and the next day, because you just need to remind yourself until it's in habit, and then you do it every time. Because the thing about the deep diaphragmatic breath is that immediately restores loads of things. It saturates the body with oxygen, it slows down the heart rate, it will naturally allow the diaphragm to expand, which in turn also has the added benefit of peristalsis of the gut, which helps elimination. Also, the big diaphragmatic breath helps with the liver movement, and it helps allow the liver energy to move easily. And all of this just from doing something a little bit more extended from something that you're already doing. Okay, so it's really not that hard to do. And that is going to make a massive difference to your night's sleep. Now, what else are we going to do? So the next step is we need to move, and our lives are over sedentary. And it's really important in this podcast that I remind you, okay, to do the simple things first. Okay, before you're going off to the gym and doing a step class or doing a spinning class, whatever it is that you're doing, that we've just got to keep the body moving throughout the day. So pay attention to your steps. It's one of the easiest and cheapest ways of keeping healthy. It's on your phone again. I have noticed that this new year, I made a resolution to myself to keep my daily average of step count at 10,000 steps a day. And that's actually it's kind of easy and not easy, depending how you do it. Last year, I averaged 7,000 and the year before was 5. So I've been sort of upping it bit by bit. And the way that I've managed to do it is by paying attention. If I don't pay attention to my steps, I'm nowhere near that number. If I pay attention and schedule, which is the third key thing to do, I'm scheduling doing it to make sure that I'm doing them absolutely. And that if there's days when I know I'm not going to do them, I have what I call a super step day, where I do a super step count. And therefore I'm doubling it up and doing much, much more than I would normally to make up for the days when it's lower. So that overall, during the course of the week, I'm doing really well. Now, doing these kinds of simple movements, just trying to get some steps in, keeps the body moving, and in turn is going to make you feel better. And in turn is going to improve your sleep. And I have absolutely validated this with my own life experience, that when I'm not paying attention to these things, my sleep dies. When I'm paying attention to these things, my sleep improves. So, I'm doing it myself. Those are two really simple things that you can add in. Now, a few other things that you can do. Magnesium foot bathing is really, really good. Now, you can either do a whole bath if you have a bath, but not everyone has a bath. Many people don't have baths in their bathrooms, they have showers. And anyway, even if you do have a bath, foot bathing specifically is really, really good for sleep. Now, why? Because I was talking earlier about the heart and about the energy going to the interior. And the energy actually moves to the interior of the body at the ankles. Now, that's quite complicated to go into. For the purposes of this podcast, just trust me, it's true, even though it sounds a bit odd. And just try it. Just get yourself a washing up tub or a little metal bowl or something like that, just an old saucepan, anything that you've got kicking around, and fill it with warm water. Add some magnesium salts. They're really cheap. You can buy them on Amazon. Just have a big bag in your house and sit and put your feet in the bath and notice how utterly, utterly divine that feels. It is one of the most pleasurable health practices I can teach you. And it is incredibly good for sleep. You can just have your feet in there for a few minutes and then have a nice towel ready. Take your feet out, dry them on the towel, and then if you possibly can, get some magnesium foot butter, which is a brand I love, which is called Sweet Bee. They do a wonderful one, and massage that in. And for extra, use my Bian acupressure tool and rub the feet with the Bian as well, because Bian as a tool, as a material, draws energy towards itself, and energy commands blood. So the all-important thing about getting the energy moving down into the ankles is that when that starts to happen for this sleep transition, the blood follows suit, and you'll find yourself getting sleepy. And then off you go to bed. And at this point, please do not put on your phone. Do not now scroll through something or start answering some messages. At this point, you're relaxing. At this point, if you want to do anything, you journal or you read a book. Old school. Okay? Journaling is great. Book reading is great. Turn off the light and off you go. Please, please, please have some device hygiene rules about your sleep practice. Have some sleep hygiene and really avoid your devices last thing at night. It is really, really bad for you. Another really brilliant practice that you can do for sleep is to do body gua sha. Now, body gua sha is something I talk a lot about. Many people are familiar with face gua sha, with the crystals. Body gua sha, if you pop over to my website, which is the Hey You Method, we've got a wonderful brand new version 2.0 body gua sha tool. It's just been launched. I'm really proud of it. Made of copper. And all you do is rub a little bit of oil on your chest. You take the tool and you press stroke outwards from the heart, outwards towards the armpits, and then ideally down the inside of the arms as well, if you possibly can. Just do it for a couple of minutes. And we did a couple of surveys on this when we first launched, and over 90% of the people on the surveys reported an improvement in sleep from just doing that technique for a couple of minutes before bed. Now, why? Well, there's various reasons. One, because you are massaging an area of the body where you have the heart, the organ of the heart is there, the lung organ is there, but also you've got points, energy points there from the kidneys, okay, which are really, really important points, because the kidney is the organ responsible predominantly for the rest of the body. Okay, it's responsible for many things, but the rest and the sleep cycle is very much deeply connected into the kidney narrative. So all of a sudden, by working across the chest, you're engaging the heart, the kidneys, and the lungs all at the same time. Okay, you're also really, really helping the lungs let go, because the thing about the body is it holds on to trauma in its tissues, and by physically massaging across the body, you are actually engaging with the tissues, and you're bringing in new, fresh narrative into the body to improve rest. There's also another couple of brilliant supplements which I like to recommend. Friends of the podcast, The Naked Pharmacy, in my humble opinion, their hero product. Now, other people might disagree with this and say, no, they've got something else they like. It's a brilliant brand, full stop. But they have something called Saffrosun Calm, and it's brilliant. It's basically made with saffron, which has been clinically proven to help sleep, okay, and ease the nervous system, which in turn supports sleep. It's absolutely brilliant. If you want to take a supplement before bed, that is a really good one. Also, a brand I love called Leapfrog. They have a brilliant supplement called Snooze. It is based from a milk derivative. It's a herd of cows which are very, very well looked after. But if you are lactose intolerant or vegan, it's not for you. Saffron Calm is. And the other one that I love is valerian root. Valerian root is really, really good to have for sleep. And if you're finding yourself waking up in the night, I often find having a valerian root tincture by the side of the bed and just having a little swig of it, it's almost like a sleeping draught and it takes you back down. So those are some simple tips to help you with sleep. Okay. There's other practices as well. If you have a look at my 3-step plan, just look at my 3-step plan on my website and just make sure that you're following the 3-step plan, because sleep ultimately hits all of the different organs and the fact that our lives are overwhelmed, and therefore that impacts our circulatory systems and the fundamental reason that our bodies get sick, which is circulation. Okay, and that 3-step plan has been designed to hook back into that so that you can get yourself back on track, navigate into your healing pivot and get your sleep back. So thank you so much for joining me. Do please share this with anybody that you feel needs to benefit from this. Please like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the things that we need to do. Thank you so much for joining. Do send me your feedback, ask me your questions. We're so happy to help you here. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next episode.